Welcome into 5 Wide Fantasy. Today's video, we're getting to buy low and sell high targets in fantasy football. I got 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. I think these are some fantastic guys that you can get excellent value for the sell highs, and then a few guys you can really get in low on. And I've got players that you can trade to get these guys, or in the case of selling, trade these guys away. Here's who you can get. So stick around. If you enjoy the video, let me know, subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed, and as well, show is presented by Betfred. Our partners over at Betfred are offering Bet 50, Get 250 all NFL season. That link is down below in the description. If you guys have any questions on these players or any other players looking to trade, let me know in the comments. Let's start with the sell highs. Running back position. Let's get to Dalvin Cook. Yes, Dalvin Cook, the running back, 11 on the season. Currently has 4 touchdowns in 6 games on an 11 touchdown pace for the year. Very good for Dalvin Cook in terms of previous seasons. A bit higher pace. I believe his career high is 10, if I'm not mistaken. But here's the important thing to keep in mind is he is on pace to have the least amount of touches in his career. I'm just looking at my notes here. He's on pace to average 15.6 attempts per game and 2 receptions per game. That is the lowest of his career, dating all the way back to his rookie season in 2017. That is not something that you want to have, considering that he is in the mind of many fantasy owners, a top probably 6 running back in the NFL from fantasy purposes. I don't anticipate that he'll be able to continue to have this type of volume of touchdowns because the team is not running the ball inside the red zone or inside the 5, and that's not surprising. So if I'm looking through these numbers, he's had only 4 inside the 5 rushing attempts. That is about a 0.66 per game pace, when in his career he's averaging 1.3 per game. So not enough volume inside the 5, and they're dropping back to throw the ball 8 times compared to just 5 team rushing attempts inside the 5 on the season. And last season, they only dropped back 17 times and ran the ball 21 times. That's a significant difference compared to last season. Again, this isn't surprising with the new head coach, with Kevin O'Connell. If you look back at the Rams last season, the Rams were second in the NFL in pass rate inside the red zone, 65%. This year, the Vikings, 61.7% pass rate inside the 20-yard line. This team wants to throw the ball in the red zone, as well, they don't want to give the ball to Dalvin Cook on the ground. He's also on pace for his lowest reception total of the season. He's averaging 2 receptions a game. We got low reception total. We have his lowest amount of carries per game since, I believe, 2018. He had a little bit lower. I think he had 13.3 attempts per game. But this is not the elite top 5 running back type of volume that you would expect from Dalvin Cook. We talked about this in the preseason. It's happening now, but he's been able to withstand it with the touchdown total, and it's because he's turned his 4 red zone carries, or his 4 inside the 5 carries, into 3 touchdowns. If he's not getting that volume inside the 5, you're not going to see that big top 5 back that many people expect, which is great for us because we can get some great value for him. I'm looking at guys like Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Leonard Fournette as excellent players that you could use to acquire to acquire and trade away Dalvin Cook. So look to do that now. I think his value is at its absolute highest on the season. Next up, wide receiver position. My favorite player to talk about, it seems. It's Gabriel Davis of the Buffalo Bills. As we're pulling up the screen here, I do want to mention, I do think Isaiah McKenzie might lose that slot role. He's been playing like an absolute loser. It turns out that a guy who's been in the league for a few years and has ridiculous speed after the catchability hasn't hit in fantasy or really in the NFL is because I can't actually catch the ball. So it might be Khalil Shakir, who's that wide receiver 3, but regardless, Gabriel Davis is the wide receiver 23 on the season. Here's the big reason why I see him as a sell high. I think his value is much, much higher than what I definitely perceived it to be before the season and early in the season. He's probably now valued in a lot of people's minds as a top 20 guy, even though he is the wide receiver 23 on the season. He did miss a game already this year, so that speaks even further to his performance so far, but completely unsustainable. I don't care how great this Buffalo Bills offense is. This guy cannot average 27.4 yards per reception the rest of the season. He also is 3rd in touchdowns with 4. He's scoring a touchdown once every 3.5 catches. He's just been a touchdown machine and a low reception guy. He's 70th in receptions. His 14 receptions are 70th in the NFL. His targets, I believe 26, are 60th in the NFL. I mean, this output cannot be sustained at this level for a guy who's going 3 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. That's just not going to happen every game. This is a player that is now reaching a value that I think is a perfect time to trade him, because people haven't seen those big bust games yet. They've seen a couple, but the boom has been coming the last 3 weeks for him. So I think it's a perfect time to deal him. There's a few options that I really like, starting with the wide receiver position. Chris Olave, another guy, high volume, putting up great numbers, but coming off the concussion, missed a week. You could probably deal Gabe Davis, get Chris Olave. Mike Williams, coming off the down week this week against the Broncos on Monday night. He's another player who gives you the big plays that Gabe Davis does, but gives you a better floor, even though he didn't last week. And then the last one here for wide receiver, Christian Kirk, very reliable, number 1 target in Jacksonville. Definitely deal Gabriel Davis to get Christian Kirk. And at running back, I have Raheem Mostert as another option, who we will get to in a moment. Yes, like I said, Raheem Mostert is a player to trade away Gabriel Davis and acquire Raheem Mostert, but he's also my buy low for this week. Raheem Mostert is the running back 35 on the season. His usage lately has been fantastic, and it indicates that at the very least he can be a low-end RB2 the rest of the way. But as we'll get to in a little bit, there's a few more things here that make me feel like he could be a high-end RB2 the rest of the way. But usage, let's get to it. Last 3 weeks, he's gone 68, 69, and 78% of the team's rushing attempts. He's taken over from Chase Edmonds and is in a fantastic role because, as well, on top of the rushing volume he's getting, he's also seen higher route participation than Chase Edmonds for 4 straight weeks. This is a guy who's becoming the all-encompassing, all-roles running back for this Miami Dolphins offense. And even Chase Edmonds has even lost the 2-minute role for this team. So there's just nothing here that indicates that Raheem Mostert's role will go away anytime soon. He's done a pretty decent job in this role, and Chase Edmonds has not been able to do anything to reclaim his role in the offense. So I think this is Raheem Mostert's spot. The only thing that changes it is a potential injury. But again, in fantasy football, we're not going to be making decisions based on whether or not a player will be injured. We can't predict that. So this is a player I definitely think you should buy low on, and his schedule for the next 8 weeks is fantastic. So we go Pittsburgh this week, who are 23rd in fantasy points allowed to running backs, but in the 8 weeks following, I got to make sure I get this across to you correctly. He gets all of the bottom 6 teams in run defense grade in 6 of his next 8 games. That is Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland dead last, Houston 31st, Chargers, Green Bay. The 2 other teams are San Francisco and Buffalo, which are certainly tougher matchups, but those other 6 are just incredible matchups for Gabriel Davis, for Raheem Mostert for this season. So he's a player that could really help you get to and make the playoffs. I think for any of you guys that are struggling through these first 5-6 weeks, you're 2-4, maybe you're 1-5, and you need to make it like a 2-for-1 type of deal. I think Raheem Mostert is the perfect player to grab him plus another guy to trade for one of your more high-valued pieces, because I think Raheem Mostert is a player that not a lot of people are paying attention to, but is coming into a role that is going to be extremely valuable in these matchups. So without a doubt, go look what team has Raheem Mostert and go trade for him. Here's a few guys that I like and would be looking to deal to get him. David Montgomery, I think, is a fantastic one. Khalil Herbert's been outplaying him week after week, and the Chicago offense, as much as they rely on the ground game, just doesn't have a lot of plays here and is struggling to score. Another one, Antonio Gibson. I think Brian Robinson's another excellent guy to trade for. I think Brian Robinson is clearly, regardless of his performance, it seems like Ron Rivera has just had about enough with Antonio Gibson. So if anyone still sees him after last week where he was pretty efficient, I don't think that matters to Rivera. I think he still wants Brian Robinson to be the guy, and Gibson is a player you can deal as well. James Robinson, Travis Etienne for the 3rd straight week, out-snapping him, out-touching him. If somebody's not paying attention to that, you can go snag Raheem Mostert as a great RB2 for your team. From the wide receiver position, I have DJ Moore. I mean, DJ Moore might be a drop candidate at this point, but perhaps there's someone in your league that still sees value in him, so he is someone you could deal and go get Raheem Mostert this week. Last one up, Keenan Allen. Touching on the Chargers here from this past week. You know, Keenan Allen is a player that has been practicing coming off the hamstring injury. It looks like he was practicing not in 11 on 11, but practicing pretty much full speed this past week. I didn't expect him to play. I think there's a chance he returns this week. If he does, that's plus value for us here. But my expectation is with the bye coming up that they probably give Keenan another week off, and this will give him the chance to be at a true 100% and also avoiding with this type of injury any type of re-aggravation. But if he is available this week and does play, gets the Seahawks, which is an excellent matchup. But here's the thing with this type of deal and this type of buy low on Keenan Allen. What I want to do is I want to wait to make this trade until later in the week. If Keenan Allen is ruled out on Friday, let's say, I think it's more likely he's closer to a game time decision, so this might make it tough. But if his status looks to be in doubt, there could be some fantasy managers. I've seen some of you guys in the comments with Keenan Allen on your team asking questions. There could be some desperation from someone in your league of, I need someone to play this week, so I might have to deal Keenan Allen at that buy low price if he doesn't play. I would still look to acquire him if you can, if you're in a good spot in terms of your record on the season or guys you can plug into your roster. I would definitely go get Keenan Allen. There's a few things here I want to touch on. The first thing here is the Chargers are just sorely missing this guy. As their premier slot option, we're seeing these opposing defenses play a lot of too high shell against them, trying to limit Justin Herbert and the explosive plays. And that is a perfect opportunity for Keenan Allen as the slot option in the middle of the field, in those short yardage areas. We've seen Joshua Palmer, Gerald Everett be beneficiaries of that, but they've been splitting the work. Once Keenan's back, his volume, I think, is going to be fantastic, especially with the offensive line that has already lost Rashawn Slater, played without Corey Linsley last night. I think this offensive line not being able to protect well leaves Herbert with a lot of balls to be thrown in those short yardage areas that Keenan Allen is fantastic with, especially with his route running. Mike Williams just isn't that type of player. He's better off on the outside, playing in a role where he's more of the deeper threat. So Keenan's sorely missed for this offense. This offense, though, leads the NFL in passing attempts per game, 42.8 pass attempts per game. So very high volume offense right now. And when Keenan's back, I think we'll expect to see the same old with him in terms of winning in those routes and being one of those very reliable options for Justin Herbert. But schedule, we got to get to the schedule because, again, that's very important for us. Also looks great for Keenan. We look at after the bye, he goes Atlanta, who are 27th in fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. Got a tough matchup with the 49ers the following week, no doubt about that. But then following, Kansas City, 29th in fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. Arizona have the worst coverage grade in the NFL in the secondary. Vegas, the 25th ranked coverage grade in the NFL. Miami, 24th in fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. And the Titans, 31st in fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. So some great matchups for Keenan in a high-volume passing offense that is very much missing him. I think when he's back, you will be able to get some great value in this type of trade. A few players that I'd be looking to deal to acquire Keenan Allen, who his value is a little bit tough to gauge considering the injury. But Terry McLaurin is someone I don't have a lot of faith in. Don't see enough volume from him through these 6 weeks. Jerry Jeudy, the Broncos offense is broken. I would love to see Nathaniel Hackett get canned, but I don't think that happens this year. If it does, maybe Judy's value will change a bit, but this offense looks awful. So he's someone that I think holds some value because of his name and because of potentially Russ could get back into it. So it's someone I could deal for Keenan Allen. Brandon Cooks, been struggling this year. I could see him be a little bit better moving forward, but I don't think he has the ceiling that Keenan Allen does. And then running back wise, things are not looking good for Najee Harris rest of the season. I wrote about it on the OwnersBox blog if you guys want to check that out. But he's a player that I would deal to acquire Keenan Allen. So those are our buy low and sell high targets for week 7 of the fantasy football season. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below with any other trades you are considering this week. Let's help you. Hopefully these guys can do a good job here of helping you win your league, or if you're struggling, get back into it. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.